It is Monday, 8/28/2017. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And we do have some new additions, if I can ever find them in my special program. For some stupid reason, it like, whenever I have it, like, search for new stuff, it, like, finds everything. I mean, like, everything. You know, like, little game sounds and all kinds of stuff that just, it isn't, like, music. So, anyway, we'll be dealing with that today. I'm sure I'll be, clearing out a lot of shit just so I can do my show, man. I mean, I'm expecting this thing will probably be finding all kinds of little system noises and stuff to be playing for us today while we're trying to do the most basic thing, you know, running a decent show. In any case, I do have new music, and that's one of the things that's confusing my program so much, is because I'm like looking for the new music and it's just all over the frickin' place. Anyway, we will be... I have no idea what we're going to be talking about today. In all honesty, you know, it was a very, very productive day at jiu-jitsu. I did get my ass kicked. Not quite as badly as normal, but I'll admit it, I got my ass kicked. You know, I've got to say, you know, that there's nothing that's really oriented me regularly with my own humility than jiu-jitsu. You know, it's constantly humbling, and, you know, no matter how far you get in it, you always find out that your partners and the people that you've been sparring with, they've been holding something back, and they take it easy on you because you're a white belt, and as you start to provide a little more sophisticated resistance, they provide a little more sophisticated resistance, and you get a little more sophisticated in your resistance and your adaptations, and they get a little more, you know, and it's just this constant thing. You know, there is no end to it. You know, I saw something on Twitter the other day, and someone was mentioning how their jiu-jitsu journey has been, and I just commented on it, saying, you know, I have yet to see anything that indicates to me that there is an end to it. You know, that you're constantly learning. You're constantly finding new ways out, constantly finding new ways in, new ways to adapt to your opponent. You know, it's probably been the most rewarding kind of like hobby that I've ever engaged in. You know, and I think it's because it's evidence. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that can tell you you're good, and they can say things to you to give you a false impression of yourself. But when you're on the mat, there is no pretend. There is no them. There's only you and your opponent, you know, and so there's no affirmation of some false impression of yourself other than what you experience on the mat. And again, it could be due to the person that you're rolling isn't going as hard as they can go. You know, they're taking it a little easy on you, giving you a chance here and there just so you don't feel like quitting. Because they could be putting you down all day long. But, you know, again, it's because those elements are there, you know, that when you find it, you know, when you negate that past that's always been getting you, and you grab the top of the knee and you push on it, you know, it occurs to you to do that one time that it never occurred to you to do before. And then from that point on, you realize that when you're coming into a certain position, you want to shift your hips a certain way, put a hand down to catch the knee. Make little adaptations in your game to make it not so easy for your opponent to do it next time. You know, and it's a really pleasurable thing to be continually adapting like that. You know, and I feel bad for people that don't have that kind of thing in their life. I really do. I wish I could, like, bottle it up and, like, you know, put it under people's nose and say, hey, man, give this a try. I bet you'll like it, you know. Anyway, enough of that. we are going to be getting down into some music today, and wow, like I said, this fucking program just finds everything that's got a goddamn audio file to it. Man, I'm finding my old shows, finding all kinds of stuff, but I just happened to find the song that I was looking for, and this is not new for the world, but it is a new addition to my my personal collection here. And I did receive a few of them, so we will be tasting some of them today. And the first one is going to be Let's Go off of Ministry. I can't think of a better song to put in as our first dance. So here we go. Let's Go by Ministry off of The Last Sucker here on Coin Metal. And that was Slipknot with All Hope Is Gone. And fortunately for us in crypto, that is not the case. That there's still plenty of hope, and there's still plenty we can do to improve this planet. You know, I keep thinking about something like starting an ICO to fund various projects that I see as being needed. You know, it's like I'm a fisherman. You know, I've been fishing since basically I came out of the uterus and somebody handed me a fishing rod, and then, you know, I was off to the races ever since. And, you know, I've had an opportunity to see the planet's fisheries be degraded over the years. And it dawned on me a little while ago that part of the problem is that fish don't have money. See, if fish actually had, like, and I'm not talking about just a dollar value, because we do value them in some sense. You know, we monetize them. However, what if you could pre-monetize them? What if you could add a monetary benefit to keeping them alive, or a monetary incentive to, I don't know how to say it, to invest in fish? You know, what about if you could do that? You know, invest in the productive potential of fish. You know, that because we do monetize the fish, that what if you could invest in projects that enhance the number of fish in existence and do so naturally? There's been another push in fishing, or how should I say? I guess aquaculture, where they have been trying to get people to eat these fucking GMO salmon. And if you've ever eaten Atlantic salmon, those are actually genetically modified fish that were probably grown in a river in Washington. I know this because they just recently had this problem up in Washington where, I think it was Washington, it was either Washington or really far north Oregon, where they had a pen of these Atlantic salmon, and there was 300,000 of them in there, and somehow or another they mysteriously got loose from their pens and are now roaming the I guess it's the Columbia River. It might be. It's one of the rivers up there in that area, and they're eating up the smolt of the native run. And this problem doesn't need to exist. The fact of the matter is that we here in the Northwest have more than enough rivers and more than enough lakes to supply the entire planet with more fucking Chinook and steelhead than have ever existed, than those rivers have ever supported. And the reason being is because of the presence of the lakes. And that's really contradictory to a lot of people's ideology about how salmon and steelhead work. See, there used to be a long time ago, back before white people came up here and took over everything, there used to be these things called beavers. Okay? As a matter of fact, OSU, their mascot is a beaver. And I believe, I'm not entirely sure, but I think at one point the state animal for California was a beaver. No, I think that's actually Oregon is beavers. And it's funny because we don't really have very many of them anymore. And it was because the pelters basically came up here and trapped them all. Well, when they did that, they kind of disrupted a lot of things. Okay, and they did this back in, I want to say in like the 1800s, mid 1800s, early 1900s. Anyway, they collapsed the population of beavers, and see what the beavers used to do is they would make these dams in the river, and they would make a warren in the dam, and that's where they would hole up in the winter. And what the dam would do is the salmon and steelhead would have run up the river before the beavers built the dam, right? And so when the beavers build the dam, the salmon can't get back down, and the steelhead can't get back down. And so they spawn above the dam, right? And they do so wherever they can find a nice area that's got a lot of air, a lot of high oxygenated water, you know, and a lot of exposure to potential forage for their offspring and stuff like that. Even though their own bodies consist is the primary diet item of their progeny. So anyway, they would in the spring, what would happen is the snow would start to melt, and between that and the rainfall up here, it would break the beaver dams, and it would push all the smolt down the rivers, right? And they would go out to the ocean, and they come back in about 2 to 6 years, and the whole process starts all over again, right? Well, we took out the beavers, and so there was nobody to build the dams, and so the rivers would wipe everything out in the winter. Okay, I mean, like, we're living in a big floodplain here, basically, is the valley. And so, again, we took out the beavers, so we had to build dams, okay, because we wanted to populate the Eugene area, and that kept getting flooded because there was no fucking beavers to build the fucking dams, and so on and so forth, right? And they had started a city down there, you know? So anyway, they build these dams, only when they built the dams, they didn't build them so that the salmon could get up above them. And so within 6 years, all the salmon were gone because they weren't able to get above the dam. So some brainchild figured this out, and they introduced hatcheries. And they also did things like hatch boxing. But see, back then there was all kinds of sloughs and riverlets and all these areas and estuaries where the salmon could spawn despite the fact that they did not have the area above the dam to do this in. Well, as humans have populated this area, we've drained the estuaries. Okay? We've blocked off all the little creeks and the little rivulets and stuff that used to go through the valley and host all kinds of spawning ground for salmon and steelhead. And so that was just more that was taken away from the salmon and steelhead. There's still a few areas where they'll lay up, but most of it's been paved over or so on or so forth. Anyway, point being that we still have these lakes and we still have these wonderful rivers that will host the salmon and steelhead coming up the river. But the problem is that the fish can't get up above the dams. And see, I've been proposing to pretty much anybody that would listen to me for the last probably 10 years, the idea of basically taking out the section of the dam that has the drain, that drains down to the river, and altering that interface to where it's a series of locks or steps going up the dam that would allow the fish to get up above the dam 24/7, 365 days a year. See, if we could do that, there's already been plenty of studies on the various lakes around here to find out whether or not the salmon would successfully spawn, and the steelhead, by the way, would successfully spawn in the lakes. And every single one of them comes back with a solid affirmative, right? So basically, the only thing separating us from having more salmon and steelhead than probably Washington and maybe even Alaska is the modification of these dams. And also, there's a few other things that would need to change also, like our drain schedules and stuff like that, because we'd have to have water in the river and in the lakes in order for the fish to be able to spawn. Because like we got winter run steelhead, we got summer run steelhead, we got fall run Chinook. And so if they had the access to the lakes, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go all the way through that again. So my idea is this: like, what if I could set up an ICO that would fund the reconstruction of these dams? And, make it like a fish token or some shit like that. See, because I know that there are other places just like this, all up and down the west coast of this continent. And we're looking at like 9 billion people on the planet, right? So if anything, we should be trying to enhance every single capacity that we have to produce food for not only ourselves, but for also the maintenance of nature. Because at this point, we're like directly competing with sharks and seals out there. And I mean, seriously, it's like I'm part of a few Facebook groups, and these people want to go out and shoot seals because they're having the seals are taking their fucking fish off their lines. The seals are blocking up certain areas of the river where they should be out in the ocean. Okay, they should be tracking salmon, full-size adult salmon, out in the ocean, but there's so few of them out there that they have to come up the river just to keep from going extinct. And these assholes want to execute all of them because they've found the river, and it's fucking ridiculous to me, because all that's really going to do is this: like, they're directly competing with the few seals that are actually here, right? And what's worse is they get these bullshit stories from ODF and W telling them, oh yeah, a bunch of seals came up from California and they just never went down. Give me a fucking break. You're talking about 200, maybe 300 seals tops that would have made that migration. And I might add, they'd make that migration because there's enough forage up here for them to keep from going extinct. It's just fucking ridiculous to me. But the fact of the matter is that is an indication of an imbalance. We are taking too much. We need to be putting more effort into putting back in. Clearly. Because we're not putting enough back in. And see, I don't think that's the plan. See, I think there is somebody out there planning, and according to their plan, we won't be able to have wild salmon in the future because we'll have to occupy the river with a bunch of pens of GMO patented fucking salmon. And of course, anytime the wild fish start repopulating it all, oh shit! We lost a pen. There's 500,000 adult fish running around the fucking river eating up all the smolt. Oh my god. Oh my god, it happened again. Shucky darn. Give me a fucking break. This is part of somebody's fucking plan. 300,000 adult fish running through a river eating up smolt is a part of somebody's fucking plan. And I mean, I've seen all kinds of shit that it's basically inhibiting the population of fish. And what that does is fuck our entire economy up here, because our economy is based on people coming up here and fucking fishing. And they're not doing that because there's not enough fish. I mean, what? You're gonna replace the fish that are out there for me to catch with GMO salmon? Well, what the fuck? Why should I even bother to go out there and fish? Why don't I just fish in your fucking pen? Snag a few of them. To me, that's a solid indication of people that have just completely lost the plot. You know? They don't understand that randomness, what we consider quote unquote disorder, is necessary. It's not a matter of an option. It is absolutely necessary. We have to continue to adapt. That is how we survive. But we can't continue to adapt if we're controlling everything. You know, it's like we're seeing this expressed in our own societies everywhere. You know, I walk around town, I see people fucking tattooed head to foot. They got weird ass color hair. They got weird ass piercings. They're scarifying themselves. You know, and you ask yourself, why would people do that? Why would people make themselves that way? And to me, it's an indication that they're trying to deviate from the norms that are being put in front of them on TV and media. They see those images of people and they don't see that person in the mirror. And they're dissatisfied with that disconnect. You know, they don't see their neighbors on TV. They don't see depictions of anybody they know on TV. They see these highly polished, always dressed in the pimpest fucking wear and whatnot. They see that on TV. You know, and their kids get raised by TV because they're working 3 fucking jobs just to keep the food coming in. And so the kids had the expectation that they're supposed to be wearing pimp-ass clothes, and they're supposed to have the newest fucking iPhone, and they're supposed to have Fast and Furious car, and Fast and Furious girlfriend, boyfriend, and you're not that. And those expectations mean something, you know? When you watch movies, ask yourself what they're trying to communicate to you. You know? I mean, are they trying to depict something that you'll ever have to deal with? And if not, why not? You know, I mean, I like watching Game of Thrones, but to me it's a complete romp in fantasy. You know, it's a disengagement of disbelief. Because on that world, those things happen. But it doesn't really tell me a whole lot about my own life. Except for maybe, I don't know, political intrigue and human nature kind of stuff. But other than that, what is it really giving me? I mean, it's just entertainment. It's just like, how should I say this? Like, kind of like cotton candy. You know, it's all flavor, no substance. And I hate saying that about Game of Thrones because I really do love Game of Thrones. But that's pretty much what it is. It's fucking cotton candy. It's not really nourishing me as a human being. It's not really educating my life in any way that's meaningful to me. And I find that's a shame. I think that's a missed opportunity. You know, you got my attention. Fucking educate me, man. Show me something I've never seen before. You know? That's one of the reasons why I play the music that I do. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had people say to me, I've never heard this song before. I've never heard this band before. I am now a ardent fan of Fear Factory. You know? I'm now a fan of Prong. And you know, to me, I love that shit. I love that. That I've exposed somebody to something they'd never experienced before. and that I've showed them a different perspective on maybe music than they've ever appreciated before. And of course, reset some expectations. They might not be satisfied with what they're hearing on the regular radio anymore either. And you know what? Good. It's not my fault that the other radio stations are missing their opportunity, or wasting their opportunity. It's not my fault that TV does the same thing, that they don't have meaningful interviews with people. I mean, that interview that I had with McAfee, I sit and listen to it. I mean, of course I cringe on my own parts because I guess that's kind of a natural thing. I mean, I like some of the questions that I asked him, but I remembered some of the difficult points that I had in it, and so I find those things kind of embarrassing and whatnot, a little cringeworthy. But I look at it kind of like jujitsu, is that it's educated me for future events. Anyway, we're eventually going to talk about cryptocurrencies today, because, we do that on this show. And as a matter of fact, I think I'll go ahead and do that now with this article. And we've been saying this kind of thing on this show for quite some time now, but it's really nice to see it reflected back to us from completely other sources. And this one is on SputnikNews.com. VK Telegram founder, Bitcoin to help global financial system escape U.S. hegemony. I was just thinking about this very subject today. Let's continue. And I think I want to skip that. Alright. Moscow, Sputnik. Pavel Durov, the founder of Vkontakte social networking site and Telegram messaging app, has said he believes that cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin provide the global financial system with a chance to escape from U.S. hegemony. Quote, "For the first time in 70 years, the global financial system has a chance to escape from the hegemony of the United States, which imposed its national currency as a reserve on the whole world, and since then, in fact, has been collecting tribute from all the countries, paying its debts with endlessly printed dollars and buying assets worldwide with them," Durov wrote in his Vkontakte page on Monday. He also criticized the Russian finance ministry's idea of how only qualified investors should be able to buy and sell cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Quote, "Instead of taking the chance to make the world a more balanced and together with Japan and other Asian countries to recognize the status of new cryptocurrencies which are replacing the dollar, the Russian government is voicing ideas to ban and restrict use of cryptocurrencies. There's an impression that Bitcoin imposed sanctions on Russia," Durov added. Earlier in the day, Russian Deputy Finance Minister Alexei Morzev said that cryptocurrencies should be regulated as a financial asset and that only qualified investors should be allowed to buy and sell. Well, tell you what, bub, I'm more qualified than you, so go suck a dick. And a bunch of weird pictures and shit. Okay. You know what? I'd really like to read this guy's actual blog. I wonder if there's a fucking link somewhere in here. I mean, they're providing us neat little blurbs from it, but that's offensive. Anyway, yeah, I can see that, the idea that we're some sort of threat to U.S. hegemony. But it's due to the apolitical nature of cryptocurrencies, that because we aren't intrinsically related to a specific government, and aren't allied with a specific government, that we have that freedom. And we do allow an escape, but not just from U.S. hegemony, from central bank hegemony. And I think that's a more important point, something that Mr. Durov kind of misses out on there, is that it's not just the U.S. that you're escaping from, man. You're not escaping back into rubles or yen or anything like that, or yuan. You are escaping from planet Earth, essentially, with regard to financial systems. You know, I've tried to characterize cryptocurrencies as being like money from another planet, and more or less it is. I mean, like, if you consider it from the perspective of how currencies used to be issued and the way that they were used, as far as, like, you know, covering debts for national governments or private banks or so on and so forth. But these are financial instruments that are being issued by regular people. And that's never happened before, man. I mean, it used to be fucking gods that issued coin, and then kings, and then, you know, then governments. And now it's us. And you've got to ask yourself why. And I think when you go back and you look at Bitcoin when it started and how it could exist tomorrow, it kind of exists this way today, at least in other cryptocurrencies. SegWit coin is kind of fucking up still, so, you know. But anyway, I think that when you look at the way that we value things, as far as the way that we balance our cryptocurrencies, like what the value proposition is of them, and you contrast that versus the fiat currencies and how they function, this aspect of cryptocurrencies is a revolution. Not necessarily an innovation so much as a revolution. It's like a global vote of no confidence in fiat currencies. And one other aspect of this that I'd like to touch on before our next music break here is that, because it is something that's very rarely mentioned, and that's the quantitative effect of monetary value exiting the fiat systems and entering into cryptocurrencies. I think that's a point that it's probably the most important one, actually. I mean, really think about it. For the way that fiat currencies function out in the market, the legacy markets and the regulated markets and whatnot, in the way that they're leveraged by banks and whatnot. So, like, you take like a bank, and they have a policy of only loaning out 15 to 1, right? So that means for every $1 they get in, they loan out 15, right? Well, if instead of giving them that $1, you converted it into Bitcoin, that's one less dollar worth of monetary value that they have to loan $15 against. And when you expand on what they build on top of those debt obligations and whatnot, you're talking about like $1,000 to $1 that you're displacing from the global centralized banking system for every $1 that you don't invest into cryptocurrencies, or that you do. That you do invest into cryptocurrencies, whether it be into mining or whether it be into buying coins themselves, or trading US dollars for coins, whatever. Point being that when you do convert them into cryptocurrencies, when you buy miners and mine cryptocurrencies with it, you are taking monetary value out of the fiat system and putting it into a non-debt oriented system. Because we aren't trading debt. That's such a big feature of cryptocurrencies, and something that hardly anybody plays up. You are not trading debt when you are trading cryptocurrencies, at least not most of them. When you start talking about ICOs and shit like that, you might be starting to talk about debt. But when you're trading raw cryptocurrencies, like when you're doing person-to-person transfers and shit like that, you're moving receipts for work actually performed. Okay, this isn't debt that was whipped up on and put on a fucking spreadsheet. Okay, this is a receipt for electricity and hardware and bandwidth that was dedicated to mining that coin, whatever coin it may be. And I mean, if you wanted a valuation marker to be able to put it directly against your own effort, consider the mining effort that was involved, the number of coins that were circulated, the number of coins that are produced on average over a day, and you can figure out down to the Satoshi what your time was worth to an employer. Can you do that with a dollar? No, you can't. No, you can't. And you know what? More importantly, your employer can document down to the Satoshi how much value your labor actually represented to them down to the millisecond. So instead of paying you like what they think you deserve, that hourly wage bullshit, no. That's a base. There should be some sort of correlation in there with regard to how much effort that you put into the work. You know, if you're the one person out of the four that's actually doing the work and you're fucking busting your ass, and your employee ID is associated with all of your work, there is absolutely no reason why your employer cannot be paying you, compensating you directly in proportion to the level of effort that you're executing, that you have put forward. The amount of monetary value that your effort actually represented over a weekly period, or a daily period, or a second period. And they can do it down to the Satoshi. That's what cryptocurrencies allow. And again, that can be used as a tyranny over us, or it could be used as a carrot. It can be used as a stick and a carrot. I would rather see it be used as a carrot, because there's plenty of other monetary systems to go to. So the motivation to be using it as a stick is that much less. You know, the coercive effort, you know, you could try applying it, but you know what? People will only take that shit for so long before they give you the single finger salute and take their ball and go elsewhere, you know, and play with other kids. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music, and I do have some newer stuff still. Amazingly enough, Amazon managed to deliver, and so let's see here. Never played, and of course I've got every fucking system sound this thing could find, and I've got to scroll through all of it to get down to what I want. Or better yet, I can do search. Let's see here. Oh, that's not gonna work. Chop. Oh, there we go. That worked. So, one of the recent purchases for me is a little album that I fell in love with a long time ago, and I fell in love with it with this very song, as so many of you have. And it is one of the very few songs I've actually heard played on the radio from this album. So here it is, System of a Down, Chop Suey, here on Coin Metal. And that was Meshuggah with Gods of Rapture. And that was off of Contradictions Collapse / None. And yeah, dude, that's one of those albums that they really don't get enough credit for it. I mean, people like, go gaga over their new stuff, and that's cool. That's what's supposed to happen, I suppose. But they tend to forget about all of the previous ground that Meshuggah covered. And where I find it kind of unfortunate is that I hear a lot of bands that are doing some of the similar things, and it's like, these things aren't entirely new, guys. We've heard these hooks and whatnot before. They were Meshuggah a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Probably a lot longer ago than most people started listening to Meshuggah. Anyway, I would really like to see Meshuggah dropping back down to that kind of... Alright. Yeah, I had an issue with my plug here. My microphone came unplugged for a moment. Let's check and see if I'm still broadcasting. Yep, still 5x5 there. Cool! But anyway, I would like to see them use a little bit more of that funk, I mean, it seems like they've drifted away from that, and I don't know how to really characterize it. They seem to really embrace the gent characterization that gets pinned on them, and I don't know. I guess if that's what they want to do, that's cool. But I think they're a much more capable band. I think they could be showing us something much different. And supposedly Frederick Thorndall is off creating something. From what I understand, he's supposedly working on a follow-up to Soul Niger Within. I'm not entirely certain on that. I haven't seen anything to confirm that yet. Of course, then again, I haven't really looked. So, it could be out there. It could be in the works. But I do know that they picked up another gentleman to fill in for Frederick Thorndall during the remaining bits of their current tour. But I don't know. I feel like some of the stuff that they've done recently, like Kolos and the last one, the Violent Sleep of Reason, they had some good points on them, but I don't know. I felt like there's some of it that I don't know, just more effort or better consideration of the parts. I don't know. I'm not Meshuggah, so it's kind of silly for me to be sitting here, critiquing their music or whatever. But I mean, as a fan, I guess I've followed them since Destroy, Erase, Improve, and of course, I went back and purchased pretty much everything from their previous catalog. I think the only thing I don't have is like the original Psychic Test build and like a few EPs here and there. But otherwise, I've got a pretty rich Meshuggah collection. Anyway, we are going to get back to crypto here. As far as this Telegram guy goes, I think he's correct that we will be escaping from the fuckery of the central banking systems and the way it's controlled the world economy. I think the biggest change will be prioritization. I think that after a short bit, this fantasy that you're going to be able to regulate cryptocurrencies in the same way that you can regulate current legacy markets, I think that fantasy will be very short. Because the reality is this, that the potential for obfuscating transactions is valuable to everybody. Global, almost instantaneous transactions are valuable to almost everybody. So, this idea that putting up barriers is going to improve the situation for anybody is incorrect. And I think everybody knows that deep down inside. That trying to stifle the connections for the little people and whatnot, that's only going to enhance their desire to try and nail you at your central points of failure. And it's best to just leave things alone, because the harder you make it for everybody else, the harder you're going to make it for yourself. And the crypto world, I think, is a little bit different in that we can actually provide accountability. And that's something that we don't really have in fiat currencies. Because when they fuck up, they can just wave the magic wand, add some more zeros on the left-hand side of the decimal point, and off to the races we go. And into the next blunder. Oh no, we just lost a few $1 billion on that investment. Wave the magic wand again. Another $100 billion comes into existence next month and we're good. Got our obligations covered. Oh, don't worry about the interest on the waving of the magic wand. It doesn't really matter. We'll just wave it again and make some more money so we can pay the interest, right? That's basically how we've been running the global economy for the last, decade? Just about a decade now. So the big correction there, I'm sure will come at some point, but not quite yet. Unfortunately, the market, it hasn't quite hit escape velocity yet. It seems to stay just above profitable with all the consolidation and all that other business and the banks buying of private shares and stuff. But at some point or another, people are going to stop taking the US dollars for their things. They're going to start taking other things for their things, like Bitcoin. And when that happens, and it does already happen, when it happens at a fast enough rate, at an intense enough rate, when we've displaced enough monetary value, the whole thing is just going to shift. And it'll be a seismic shift. And these people that tell you, you want to be holding on to some Bitcoin and whatnot, they're not bullshitting you. Because after that seismic shift, if you're still hodling, you'll probably be pretty damn good in the next economy, in the next world economy. And the only thing that really matters at this point is survival. Maintaining your viability. And, I'm not talking about just Bitcoin. I'm talking about all the other cryptocurrencies out there. You guys have to be fucking ultra diligent about keeping your networks viable and try and stay away from the SegWit bullshit, man, because from what I can see, it's not really doing anything to improve Bitcoin to try and impose it, and they don't seem to be entirely prepared for that kind of shift in that camp. But I don't know, we'll see. We'll see in the longer term. Like I said, I've got that on a 2-year timeline before, if Lightning networks ever are initiated, and the benefits that they will initially provide are realized, and then the slow decline into back to what we have now, trust and transaction fees of $2 to $5. I mean, it offends me that you people accept these transaction fees of like 5%. I hate doing it. Every time I use the fucking Bitcoin ATM, as much as I like the guy that runs it, I want to take a fucking crowbar to it because it's charging me some excessive sum just for me to get my money back out and in my hand. And that's bullshit. I mean, that's not why Bitcoin was created. It was not created so we can extort one another on fucking transaction fees. It was created so we can liberate ourselves from those who would extort us on our transaction fees. And in that sense, Bitcoin is failing. I hate to be the one to say it because I've spoken very much about how much I do love Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is failing in this aspect of its mandate. I don't expect that it will continue forever. I expect that once we get through the SegWit bullshit and get on the other side of it with 8 megabyte blocks on the regular, that we'll be in better shape. But we still have to make that commitment. We still have to make that transition. And you guys that are going with SegWit 2x, I'm sorry, you're not part of Core's long-term plan. And and they've pretty much explicitly stated that several times by now. There was something I came across I wanted to put up here, and it was another little admission on the SegWit business, and I haven't been able to find it. Damn it, Jim. Damn it. I don't know, maybe on the other side of a music break or something I'll have it. But like I said, 2 years. They got 2 years to show their teeth. And I don't think we're going to make it that far. The way that we're seeing things unfold now with these little omissions coming out, I think that probably in another month or so, everybody will be looking at SegWit, and they will be looking at what we previously had, and they'll say, no, we don't really want to go this direction. And even the people that are currently fans of it, they're slowly losing love with it. They're starting to ask the bigger question, why won't the miners adopt this? Why won't they flag support for this? And when they start asking that at a high enough volume, which I'm seeing more and more of it, they're going to be coming to the realization that there's a lot of centralization down the road of SegWit LN. There's a lot of trust down that road. And as we are trying to work away from trust and centralization, going back to it is probably not a good idea. Anyway, I've been wanting to clean this shit out so I can actually just stream through my audio file and find the music that I want to play. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of cleaning right here live on the show, which I don't like doing. I mean, this is stuff I should have probably resolved prior to, but hey, man, we're dealing with it as it comes, you know? Let's see. This one's a bunch of bullshit too. Bunch of bullshit. Good stuff. Well, it doesn't seem like there's too much stuff I'm going to have to get rid of at this point. Or at least get out of my way. But I'm sure it'll be a bunch of shit in here. But for those of you who have been paying attention to what's going on out there, it seems like Bitcoin Cash is going through a little bit of a dip. And I don't mind that. You know, it's it's the market, man. It's what are you gonna do? Are you gonna be angry about it, or are you gonna short it? You know, the choices are there. In any case, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. I'm feeling the need, and why not? White Zombie, More Human Than Human, here on Coin Metal. And that was Tool with Vicarious. You know, I love my Twitter feed. I see this story here. SEC, public companies are using ICOs for pump and dump schemes. And my response to that, good. We'll wreck them just like we wrecked their kids' financial aid checks. Yep. That's pretty much it. Long and short of it. Who gives a fuck? I don't care. So what? I got wrecked on fucking Mugatu coin. What the fuck do I care about getting wrecked about on your public company ICO bullshit? That's my choice to make. I don't do my homework. I get wrecked. My fault. Not you, not the SEC, not the company, not the ICO. My fault. I executed the sell. I executed the buy. My fault. This bullshit that the SEC is somehow going to protect me from that, protect me from my own fucking stupidity, it's completely stupid. It's just... I don't know why it keeps occurring to them that I need some sort of protection, or that they can actually protect me from my own stupidity. They can't. It's a futile effort. It is a fucking futile effort. I did stupid shit today. There was no SEC around. I wasted money today. No SEC official was there saying, "Don't do that. Don't do that, Frank. You shouldn't do. You shouldn't spend that money on there, Frank. You shouldn't execute that sell order. You shouldn't execute that buy order. That's not good. That's not good, Frank. Don't do that. Fuck off. Go mind your own fucking funds, okay?" You know, you got people ripping you off for billions of dollars in your fucking legacy markets, and you're here fucking with me. Go the fuck away. You know, IRS, SEC, FDIC, FINRA, FinCEN, all you fuckers, just go fuck off. Go do something, I don't know, productive, you know? Go mind your own shit. We're doing just fine here. We've been here for 9 years. We've gone through all kinds of shit. Way more shit has been innovated by people having to deal with shit on the fly here in cryptocurrencies than has happened in legacy markets for the last century. It is fact. And we're still dealing with those challenges and new ones every fucking day. And the SEC and the FDIC and all these motherfuckers, they can't do shit to help us. They can fantasize, they can give us assurances, but the fact of the matter is when the money is in somebody else's hands, it's in somebody else's hands. It's too fucking late. You can't help me. You can't recompense me. It's time lost. It's money lost. It's too fucking bad. Move on. But if I have it in my head that there's some sort of fantasy that the fucking SEC is going to help me out, they're going to bail me out because I'm too big to fail, or you know what? That's holding me back. Because I'm going to be depending on these fucking people to make decisions that will guide how I will do business in the future. And that is going to slow me down because now I'm not acting, I'm reacting. And that is going to slow me down. That is going to put me at a market disadvantage with every other fucking country and every other fucking individual on planet Earth. You are fucking me. Get the fuck out of here. Go crochet. Okay? Go take up music. There's plenty of need for real talent in music. Put that degree that you got in fucking oboe playing and go make some music, man. Put up a fucking webcam. Somebody out there wants to watch you play a fucking oboe and wants to watch you do it bad enough that they will pay you to fucking do it. But go do that, because doing what you're doing now is just getting in our fucking way. You're becoming a problem. And you are going to become a bigger problem as other countries figure out you're just blustering. You can't deliver. You can't provide the protection. You can't provide the security, the market security for them anymore. You cannot provide these things. These things are out of your hands. They're in open source projects being worked on by 14-year-olds in fucking Uzbekistan. It's too late. Go the fuck away. Anywho, we're going to read their bullshit, and this is on investor.gov. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Investor alert. Public companies making ICO-related claims. And this is on 8/28/2017. The SEC's Office of Investor Education and Advocacy is warning investors about potential scams involving stock of companies claiming to be related to or asserting that they are engaging in initial coin offerings or ICOs. Fraudsters often try to use the lure of new and emerging technologies to convince potential victims to invest their money in scams. These frauds include quote-unquote pump and dump and market manipulation schemes involving publicly traded companies that claim to provide exposure to these new technologies. Recent trading suspensions. Developers, businesses, and individuals increasingly are using ICOs, also called coin or token launches or sales, to raise capital. There has been media attention regarding this form of capital raising. While these activities may provide fair and lawful investment opportunities, there may be situations in which companies are publicly announcing ICO or coin/token related events to affect the price of the company's common stock. The SEC may suspend trading in a stock when the SEC is of the opinion that a suspension is required to protect investors and the public interest. Circumstances that might lead to a trading suspension include number one, a lack of current, accurate, or adequate information about the company. For example, when a company has not filed any periodic reports for an extended period. Number two, questions about the accuracy of publicly available information, including the company press releases and reports about the company's current operational status and financial condition. Or, number three, questions about trading in the stock, including trading by insiders, potential market manipulation, and the ability to clear and settle transactions in the stock. The SEC recently issued several trading suspensions on the common stock of certain issuers who made claims regarding their investments in ICOs or touted coin/token related news. The companies affected by trading suspensions include First Bitcoin Capital Corp., CIAO Group, Strategic Global, and Sunshine Capital. Investors should be very cautious in considering an investment in a stock following a trading suspension. A trading suspension is one warning sign of possible microcap fraud. Microcap stocks, some of which are penny stocks and or nanocap stocks, tend to be low priced and trade in low volumes. If current reliable information about a company and its stock is not available, investors should consider seriously the risk of making an investment in the company's stock. For more on trading suspensions, see our investor bulletin, Trading in Stock After an SEC Trading Suspension. Be aware of the risks. Pump and dump and market manipulations. One way fraudsters seek to profit is by engaging in market manipulation, such as by spreading false and misleading information about a company, quote, typically microcap stocks, to affect the stock's share price. They may spread stock rumors in different ways, including on company websites, press releases, email spam, and posts on social media, online bulletin boards, and chat rooms. The false or misleading rumors may be positive or negative, even if it's the Federal Reserve that's doing it. For example, quote, pump and dump schemes involve the effort to manipulate a stock's share price or trading volume by touting the company's stock through false and misleading statements to the marketplace. And you know what? I got something going on in the background I don't want to do there. So there we go. For example, pump and dump schemes involve the effort to manipulate a stock's share price or trading volume by touting the company's stock through false and misleading statements to the marketplace. Pump and dump schemes often occur on the internet, where it is common to see messages posted that urge readers to buy a stock quickly or sell before the price goes down, or a promoter will call using the same sort of pitch. In reality, the author of the messages may be a company insider or paid promoter who stands to gain by selling their shares after the stock price is, quote, pumped by the buying frenzy they create. Once these fraudsters dump their shares for a profit and stop hyping the stock, the price typically falls and investors lose their money. Learn more about these schemes in our updated investor alert, Fraudulent Stock Promotions. Tips for investors. Always research a company before buying its stock, especially following a trading suspension. Consider the company's finances, organization, and business practices. This type of information often is included in filings that a company makes with the SEC, which are available for free and can be found in the Commission's EDGAR filing system. Some companies are not required to file reports with the SEC. These are known as non-reporting companies. Investors should be aware of the risks of trading the stock of such companies, as there may not be current and accurate information that would allow investors to make an informed investment decision. Investors should also do their own research and be aware that information from online blogs, social networking sites, and even a company's own website may be inaccurate and potentially intentionally misleading. Be especially cautious regarding stock promotions, including related to new technologies such as ICOs. Look out for these warning signs of possible ICO-related fraud. Number 1. Company that has common stock trading claims that its ICO is, quote, SEC compliant without explaining how the offering is in compliance with the security laws. Or, number 2, company that has common stock trading also purports to raise capital through an ICO or take on an ICO-related business described in vague or nonsensical terms or using unidentified technical or legal jargon. Blockchain. Look out for these warning signs of possible microcap fraud. Number 1. SEC suspended public trading of the security or other securities promoted by the same promoter. Number 2. Increase in stock price or trading volume happening at the same time as the promotional activity. Number 3. Press releases or promotional activity announcing events that ultimately do not happen. Ergo, multiple announcements of preliminary deals or agreements, announcements of deals with unnamed partners, announcements using hyperbolic language. God damn, that sounds a lot like SegWit. Number 4, company has no real business operations, few assets, or minimal gross revenues. Bancor. Number 5, company issues a lot of shares without a corresponding increase in the company's assets. And number 6, frequent changes in company name, management, or type of business. Wow. I will hand this to the SEC on this one. These are all of the concerns that I would suggest to any investor, anyone intending to become an investor, anybody interested in anything related to cryptocurrency trading or investment. So yes, good on you, SEC. These are prudent suggestions. And these are prudent guidelines for informing yourself about how exactly to invest. And so we will not take that away from them. But at the same time, business does not begin and end with an SEC filing or the SEC's qualifications for what a prudent investment may be. The fact of the matter is that is solely in the eye of the bag holder, i.e. you. Okay? Now, they can give you in-depth recommendations, and as a matter of fact, this website and this article, I'm going to go ahead and post it in the Telegram. So, if you're listening and you are in the Telegram, I might even throw it in the IRC chat, as a matter of fact. Just because, hey, it's information. We don't give a fuck that it's coming from the SEC. It's prudent information. It's sound information. And like I said, it appears as though they've festooned this thing with links to additional information. So if you do want to further inform yourself, I would strongly suggest clicking on that there link. And, yeah. But you can follow along completely independent of the SEC in your actual choices with regard to whether or not you want to invest in a company or their ICO or whatever. You are free to do that. And ultimately, you are the thing that makes any cryptocurrency or any other company work. It's something that I think people lose when they're naming things outside of themselves. They name things like Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin is outside of you, but without you, it's completely meaningless. Despite the fact that Bitcoins that have been issued are a receipt for proof for work already performed, they're completely meaningless to you in the sense of economic tools or something like that. And that's the case for the vast majority of humans. It's easy to think that we're something bigger because we're kind of in an echo chamber amongst ourselves. But here we are. We're reading the SEC's recommendations on things. Why would the SEC even bother to comment unless, of course, there were potential for fraud and abuse and all that other bullshit. But you know what? There really isn't any more fraud or anything like that in cryptocurrencies. I would probably argue there's a little bit less in cryptocurrencies volume-wise when comparison to the legacy markets out there. And I'm sure there are some people that would argue with that statement, but it's true. I read about billion-dollar scams all the fucking time happening in legacy markets, and all that really tells me is that the tools that they have for detecting fraud and whatnot, they're really not all that good. And there's really no excuse for that in 2017. You know? The fact of the matter is that it's a futile effort. It's a completely futile effort. I mean, providing advisement, okay. You know, providing warnings, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Issuing fines, no. If they're committing a crime, I want you to put people in fucking jail. If they're committing fraudulent activity and you detect it, I want you to put people in fucking jail. I don't want you to bill them. I don't want you to fee them. I don't want you to tax them. I want you to put them in fucking jail. Fucking pound me, federal pound me in the ass prison. That's where people like that deserve to go. When they're abusing the trust of the market, these people do not deserve to be fined. They deserve to be imprisoned. Okay? When somebody is legitimately trading fiat currency or cryptocurrency or whatever for some commodity that you're not regulating or that you're not taxing because it's in a black market, that's not actually fraud. That's not actually theft. If the commerce is even between the partners, you know, the people doing the actual commerce, then there's really no call for you, SEC. However, if somebody is committing a crime, legacy market or not, where they're abusing the trust of the market and they're defrauding their customers, I want you to put them in fucking prison. Prison! Don't want you to imprison drug users or drug dealers or whatnot. I want you to imprison fucking bankers who are abusing the global market at large. Because they are impacting a hell of a lot more fucking people than somebody shooting up in an alleyway. It's just simple truth. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into a little bit of music here. And I want to play more Marilyn Manson, but I'm not familiar enough with the album yet. I mean, to just confidently click on something. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to risk your trust like that. But, of course, don't put me in charge of your money, because, like anybody else, I'll steal it. Anyway, I don't know. I think we need a little bit of body count in our lives. But the right song. No lives matter. Fuck it. No lives matter. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Anthrax with Be All End All from State of Euphoria. And the surprises never cease. Our next article here is off of CNBC.com, of all places, right? You know, leave it to the MSM to tell us what's going on in crypto, right? But this one was very prudent, and I think, given the consideration to what we've been talking about so far, with the way that governments interact with commerce and how their activities aren't necessarily the greatest for us, and how we're providing a way out. So here it is. Cash is useless in Venezuela thanks to hyperinflation, so people are turning to Bitcoin. 1. To survive Venezuela's hyperinflation, many have taken to mining Bitcoin to afford basic necessities, according to The Atlantic. And this was authored by Saheli Roy Chowdhury. No indication of penis. And this was authored on Thursday, the 24th August 2017. So it's a little bit behind the curve, but, you know, hey. We get to it when we get to it. As Venezuela suffers its worst meltdown in history, with inflation skyrocketing and basic necessities running in short supply, Many have taken to Bitcoin mining in a bid to survive, according to a report in the current issue of The Atlantic. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and click on the report and check it out, because fuck CNBC. Anyway, this one is, I guess it's from The Atlantic originally, and because we're not gonna pump CNBC for just copying somebody else's shit. And I just want to check to see if they have it. Oh yeah. Anyway, here we go. In Venezuela, home to some. Oh wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take a minor step back here. This is from their September 2017 issue, and the author is Renee Chun. No indication of penis. Let's check and verify really quick. Yeah, no picture, so, no indication of penis. Anyway, continuing, because I know men named Renee, so what the hell. In Venezuela, home of some of the worst hyperinflation since the Weimar Republic, a Big Mac costs about a half a month's wages. Or rather it did, until a bread shortage forced the burger off the menu. The annual inflation rate is expected to hit 1,600%. Life resembles an old newsreel. Long lines, empty shelves, cashiers weighing stacks of bills. To survive, thousands of Venezuelans have taken to mineria Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. Lend computer processing power to the blockchain, the Bitcoin network's immense decentralized ledger, and you will be rewarded with Bitcoin. To contribute more data crunching power and earn more Bitcoin, people operate racks of specialized computers known as miners. Whether a mining operation is profitable hinges on two main factors. Bitcoin's market value, which has hit record highs this year, and the price of electricity needed to run the powerful hardware. Electricity, it so happens, is one thing most Venezuelans can afford. Under the socialist regime of President Nicolas Maduro, power is so heavily subsidized that it is practically free. A person running several Bitcoin miners can clear $500 a month. That's a small fortune in Venezuela today, enough to feed a family of 4 and purchase vital goods. Baby diapers, say, or insulin online. Most web retailers don't ship directly to Venezuela, but some Florida-based delivery services do. Under these circumstances, a miner starts to look a lot like an ATM. Professors and college students have mined Bitcoin, so rumor has it, have politicians and police officers. It has become a common currency even among non-miners. Peer-to-peer online exchanges, think Venmo but with cryptocurrency, allow everyone from shopkeepers to a former Miss Venezuela to buy and sell with Bitcoin. But recently, Maduro has begun cracking down on mining operations, apparently finding them a convenient political scapegoat, much as he calls those who seek to profit off of inflation capitalist parasites. Yet trading Bitcoin is still condoned. It's as if Maduro realizes that cryptocurrency is one of the few things holding the country together. Yeah, it's basically because if he does anything about it, the whole fucking country will revolt and he'll end up on a barbecue spit somewhere. Because Venezuela has no cryptocurrency laws, police have arrested mine operators on spurious charges. Their first target, Joel Padron, who owns a courier service and started mining to supplement his income, was charged with energy theft. and possession of contraband and detained for 14 weeks. Since then, other Bitcoin rigs have been seized and in many cases rebooted by corrupt police for personal profit. As a result, Padron told me many people have stopped mining, but Rodrigo Souza, the founder of Blink Trade, which runs Sir Bitcoin in a Venezuelan Bitcoin exchange based in Brooklyn, says that for others, the temptation is still too great to resist. People haven't stopped mining, he told me. They've just gone deeper underground. Venezuela's most resourceful miners, in fact, are moving on to a new inflation buster, the cryptocurrency Ether. The profit margins are higher, and more important, the risk factor is much lower. Mining Ethereum or Bitcoin is pretty much the same principle, using free electricity to generate cash, one Venezuelan miner told me, but Ethereum mining is more affordable. All you need is free software and a PC with a video card. Any police officer is easily fooled into thinking your Ethereum miner is just a regular computer. And so the presses churn out worthless bolivars, the miners carry on, tapping into the power grid, turning electrons into dollars. Very, very smart. Now, the next iteration of the Venezuelans' mining efforts should be this. Venezuelans, if you're listening to my voice, either now or later, what you need to start investing in addition to more mining capacity, is solar power. If you can offset enough of your hashing power with electricity that you're generating via solar panels, they won't be able to detect you. And that electricity doesn't become almost free, it becomes totally free. So that is something to start considering if you aren't already taking advantage of it, which I suspect a good many of you probably already are, just to avoid detection. But yeah, start looking around you, for ways to generate electricity, whether it be, I don't know, a small windmill or some sort of current. Maybe you've got a river or something around you that you could be using to generate electricity. Not by blocking it off per se, but there are several inline electricity generators out there now that you can just dump them out into the river, and just the flow of the river is enough to get them to spin, and it'll generate enough electricity to run a lot of shit. So those are options that you miners in Venezuela and throughout South and Central America, you guys ought to be trying to take advantage of that stuff. I mean, you got plenty of sunlight. There's plenty of water down there in various forms. And I would imagine that there are a few places that are pretty windy that aren't necessarily doing anything to harness that energy. But good on you, Venezuela. I mean, you guys are going to move into the 21st century before America does, because it's kind of a necessity for you at this point. And I envision in the not so distant future we'll be following suit. You're just like the canary in the coal mine. You're like first up at bat, but you won't be the last. I expect that this will be one of the refuges that a lot of the micro countries out there that have been popping up in various war-torn countries, because people still got to live, and so they start commercing, and before you know it, they start concentrating a little bit closer to one another for convenience of trade and whatnot. And before you know it, you've got small communities and so on and so forth. You add on to that a layer of cryptocurrency miners, and these people can completely divest themselves from the global economy. They don't have to be participating in it at all. Not even using the script of the Federal Reserve or other central bank. Anyway, we've got at least one more article in us before the end, and we're gonna follow up on this theme because I've got another article, same stuff, or at least a little bit more on it. Actually, this would be a continuation because as we left off in the last article, they were talking about how Bitcoin miners were switching over to Ethereum. Well, here we go, and this one's on Cointelegraph, so we're going to have to verify whether or not it's from another article. Nope, does not appear to be from another article. Alright, so we'll go for it. And this one was authored by Joshua Althauser. And here we go. Venezuelan Bitcoin miners turning to Ethereum after government crackdown. An increasing number of Venezuelans are shifting to mining digital currencies like Bitcoin so that they can afford to buy their basic needs and survive due to the current hyperinflation being experienced in Venezuela as of late August 2017. Another reason for the shift is the affordability of mining due to the low cost of electricity in the country. According to a report by the Atlantic magazine, Venezuela continues to suffer its worst meltdown in its history, with skyrocketing inflation and very short supply of basic necessities. To survive this situation, a growing number of people have taken to mining Bitcoin as it becomes more affordable than the basic goods in the crisis-hit nation. Bitcoin mining. In Bitcoin mining, miners perform complex computations that lead to the creation of new links in the Bitcoin blockchain using computer hardware, which needs a large supply of power during the process, which is continuous, by the way. In return for their work, miners are rewarded with a new Bitcoin token. No, just a new Bitcoin, you assholes. Blockchain is the massive decentralized ledger technology that underpins Bitcoin. Not really. That's not really a correct description. Anyway, based on the report, a Bitcoin miner who runs several Bitcoin mining devices in Venezuela can earn around $500 per month. In the country, the amount can already feed a family of four dude, they're basically just, fuck you. Never mind. Sorry. I was really hoping that this was going to be like a continuation on it because it mentions Ethereum. Son of a bitch. Anyway. Yeah, like I was saying before, I gave Joshua Althauser some undue time. I expect this trend to continue. As a matter of fact, I expect smaller altcoins to come into use, such as Verge, especially with the need for anonymity and whatnot. I would imagine that a lot of people would be switching over to that in Venezuela, but that's just me. But this trend isn't going to end. It started, but it's not going to end. I don't expect that any level of regulation by a federal or state government or even a city government will be enough to stand in the way of this shit. I mean, there's just too many ways to avoid it. And you heard it in that one article. The cops are ganking people's miners and then becoming miners themselves with the stolen hardware. I mean, really, as much as I hate to give him any kind of credit whatsoever these days, because he's already blocked me on Twitter, Andreas Antonopoulos, he talked about this in his early days, where the biggest problem with regulating like that is that the government themselves becomes completely corrupted by it. And we're seeing that in Venezuela. And I think that as long as they keep the hands-off approach that they do, higher up, that they will go into the 21st century long before the United States does. And that's really sad, because, we're developing most of this fucking technology. And, that's not always going to be the case. I expect that, Americans, we have a little more faith in our government, only because they haven't, they have completely fucked us, but they haven't done the level of fuckery that Venezuela is seeing, I guess. I think they have. It's more diffuse. It's like what we were talking about earlier with regard to people scarifying themselves and trying to make in themselves a visage that is dissimilar from anything they see anywhere else, just out of rebellion of it. That they disdain the other things that are associated with those images that they're trying so hard not to be. And I don't mean just like the white shaming and all that other bullshit. I mean, like I was saying earlier about how when people watch TV and they watch TV shows, they see people that don't look anything like anybody they know. Like the closest you get to it is like The Walking Dead. Okay, I see people that look like they're on The Walking Dead when I go into town. But I don't see the people that look like, I don't know, like CSI. I don't see those people when I'm walking around town. Anyway, I think I've got one more article in me. Or at least, yeah, we can do this one. I don't know. It's actually pretty long. It's a little bit verbose. We might want to save this. Yeah, we definitely want to save this fucking book for another day. Yeah, too big. Oh, but this one I think we can do. It's a bit shorter, kinda. Yeah, we can do this one. Anyway, this is on thestreet.com. Bitcoin investors beware. The IRS is coming for your vast riches. Protect those gains. This is by Brian O'Connell. I'm taking it from the name that he does have a penis. And this was authored on August 25th, 2017. Uncle Sam has Bitcoin traders on the radar these days as the cryptocurrency passes $4,300 in late August trading. With more assets pouring into digital currencies, the federal government, via the Internal Revenue Service, is looking to get its fair share from Bitcoin. A cut that the IRS doesn't believe it's been getting until now. That could change, and fast, as the IRS is using a software program that monitors Bitcoin-based digital addresses in a campaign to identify potential tax evaders. Using a customized software program from Chain Analysis, a blockchain data analysis firm in New York City, the IRS expects to extract more intelligence and potentially more fraud from virtual currency movements through the blockchain and centralized currency exchanges. Chainalysis says it's able to track approximately 50% of all Bitcoin activity and 4 million additional Bitcoin addresses, more than enough to get an accurate gauge on who's hiding cash from the IRS. The IRS is under pressure to increase compliance in digital coin tax reporting based on an audit done by the U.S. Inspector General and has taken other steps to identify unreported digital currency transactions, such as a John Doe request of Coinbase and a survey of filed returns, explains Randy Tarpey, a digital currency tax specialist at Sickler, Tarpey and Associates in Tyrone, Pennsylvania. With no third-party tax reporting to the IRS currently available, the agency has no automatic way to enforce or encourage tax reporting compliance other than 1099-K reporting, which only covers a few taxpayers. Tarpey says, while taxpayers can initially avoid reporting digital coin transactions, the blockchain is public, and once enforcement begins, transactions are easily obtained. The nature of Bitcoin makes it difficult to track in some respects, says Dean Anastos, CEO of Blockchain Developers in New York City. Bitcoin itself is based on technology that makes its ledger public. Anastos says essentially all the transactions taking place within its infrastructure is viewable by anyone analyzing the blockchain. But what's not so easily identifiable is the user themselves, he says. However, the IRS would always have the capability to track the transactions to a possible point of sale where the delivery of a product or service has taken place for the particular Bitcoin user being scrutinized. But this particular strategy doesn't work well with Bitcoin users who are able to make use of something called tumblers, blockchain services that obfuscate the source of transactions by mixing them up with other transactions, making it difficult to trace transactions. The promise of cryptocurrency was a paperless, transparent, but anonymous way of conducting financial transactions, states Norm Pattis, a best-selling legal author and a cryptocurrency specialist. Needless to say, taxing authorities find that threatening, and the regulatory net is tightening. Bitcoin is regarded as a property and not a currency by the IRS, Pattis explains. As property, it is taxable as a capital gain when converted into cash or a cash equivalent, he says. Given Bitcoin's volatility, determining the tax basis will be a headache for those who dip in and out of the Bitcoin market. And there's a little bit more, but we're not going to be able to... Well, I don't know. We can finish it off, I think. Yeah, we can do it. As Bitcoin becomes more popular and as is trusted as a medium of exchange, the federal government will no doubt come to regard it as income, Pattis adds. Nothing of value lies beyond the grip of the tax man for long, he says. The whining you hear coming from your computer is Bitcoin gasping for breath as the taxman squeezes. There are ways to avoid the taxman, Pattis says. While tracing IP addresses will snare the casual user of Bitcoin, those determined to cover their tracks can use scrambling devices and the darknet to evade detection. The Bitcoin exchanges can provide more transparency to thwart fraudulent activity, Tarpey says, and help keep the Bitcoin market clear of tax cheats. Bitcoin is typically taxed as property and reported annually on Schedule D as capital gain or loss when Bitcoin is cashed in, he states. Bitcoin is not cashed in and is not taxed until the gain or loss is realized. Miner Bitcoins are taxed as business revenue when transferred to the miner. But exchanges could and should report gains or losses on IRS Form 1099-B, just like stocks and bonds. This small change would assist taxpayers to comply with tax law they may be unintentionally overlooking, Tarpey adds. Digital currency is growing rapidly and has many valid uses and avid supporters. Tax filing for digital currency needs to be improved for everyone's benefit, Tarpey says. No, it doesn't. They need to fuck off. That's what needs to happen. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, we're going to be closing out this episode. We got about 4 minutes left, so we can definitely fit at least one last dance in. And we will be doing exactly that. And we will be coming back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as always. And, yeah, you know, I think that it's very interesting that the governments of the world are taking a sharper look at us, but in the longer term, I think they'll just fall in line like everybody else and kind of get over themselves. And so, it's with that I would like to bid you a fondue, and thank you very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. And, yeah, until Wednesday, I want you all to trade safe. I want you to do your homework. And I want you to watch out for your bunghole, because the IRS is definitely taking a hard look at it. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent evening. And for our last dance, we're going to go ahead and throw it down with some 9-inch nails with teeth here on Coin Metal.